Hello. This conversation is for the creatives, the singers, the artists who are feeling like they've veered off course. So maybe you're feeling uninspired or procrastinating more than usual, or your self doubt is really loud and paralyzing. And the first thing that I want to say is that this is totally normal, totally natural. Artists of all types and levels of commitment or experience are sensitive creatures. It's one of our superpowers. We feel a lot. And much of sharing our art is about being able to be visible and vulnerable, which can send our nervous system into a bit of a frenzy. It feels unknown and risky, maybe even dangerous. And yet there's something in us that is calling us to do that, right? So how do you move through the procrastination or the doubt or the fear and feel safe in being seen in your vulnerability? Well, my question to you is, how are you working on growing your capacity to be visible and to be authentic on behalf of your art or what it is you want to make and share? Because we spend a lot of time and resources investing in honing our craft, in committing to learning more and becoming more skilled in our creative field. And yet we tend not to invest in growing our capacity to be seen. And it might be because we're unsure of how to do this, or we're kind of afraid to go there, or we've bought into a story that we're just not cut out for the sharing part. But I think if you're drawn to share or perform, it's for you. It's calling you for a reason. And you notice that you can't really switch that little voice off, no matter how hard you try. So one really important pillar around growing your capacity to be visible and vulnerable is tapping back into your why regularly, anchoring back into that. So many of us lose that connection if we start to take it too seriously, or if we get more caught up in what others think or that response than our enjoyment or experience of the process. Or if we succumb to old stories we have of perfectionism or linking outcomes to our self-worth. So one thing that I did for myself was create ceremony around coming back home to what my artistry means to me. And that's why I created Unbind Your Artistry, to share that ceremony with you, to show you what investing in your art looks like, not from a I need to get better at this skill perspective, but romancing your creativity. So how often do you set aside time for this? How often do you involve your body in this kind of conversation? How often do you celebrate sensation and sensitivity? Because if you're stuck in a rut, that hyper-disciplined, work harder and get better mentality doesn't elevate you out of it, right? It isn't motivating. It isn't magical. And in fact, it leads to us often feeling heavier and less likely to spring into momentum because we have all of these shoulds. I should be working harder. I should be practicing. I should be sharing. I should be doing more. And if you've been trying to shift perfectionism or procrastination or fear or self-doubt for a long time, simply by yelling at yourself to do better or be better or change in this frustrated, exasperated way, and it's not been working, isn't it time to try another approach? Something softer, something more compassionate, something that can be beautiful as well as eye-opening. Because this beating yourself up thing is not working. And as I said at the very beginning, you're beating yourself up for something that is natural, something that isn't to be avoided or pushed through or bullied through. It's something that can be faced, something that can be felt, and something that can be let go. So if that sounds delicious to you, if something inside of you is yelling this great big yes to this, please try this, to this, my invitation to you is to join me this weekend for Unbind Your Artistry. This is what I do best. I create safe spaces for reconnection and reclamation. And in this experience, I weave poetry and music and movement, and I've been spending today just carefully choosing the right poems and the right music and the right prompts to reinvigorate your senses and your connection to your innate creativity and your excitement around that. It's my aim that you would close your laptop after watching the session, either live or with the recording, and you would feel different, feel lighter. You would have more hope and more curiosity moving through your veins. So if you've heard me talk about this important, emotional, embodied piece of the puzzle of being a creative, and it's intrigued you, this is what I created as a gorgeous introduction, as a starter, as a taster to this work. Or if you've done this work with me, a beautiful place to come back to. So I've added the link, you'll be able to find it. Or in my bio, you can find it as well. If you'd like to learn more or grab a ticket. It is $99 Australian, which is about £56, 63 euro, 77 US dollars, and 98 Canadian. And you will get access to the recording as soon as we're done. And if it's not for you, that is totally fine. But please spend some time pondering that question that I asked. How are you working on growing your capacity to be visible and to be vulnerable and authentic on behalf of what it is you want to be creating and sharing? Because there's no point in creating something sensational or that's just simply important for you to share or be seen and be witnessed in, and then feeling like you're unable to do that. There are far too many songs that never get sung, too many poems that never get read, too many pieces of art, photos, designs, performances that never get seen. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm creating these spaces, because that is not the world that I want to live in. I want to live in a world where artists feel great about sharing their creations, feel safe in their vulnerability, and encourage each other. And I think doing something like this in ceremony and in community is the way that we start to build that world. So please find a way that you can meet yourself in ceremony, because unraveling can actually be really beautiful and it can be connected to your artistry. It doesn't have to feel so hard and so labored and so heavy. It's the way that you go about it that can lead to that. It's the you should be different approach, right? So if you'd like me to guide you through what this can look like, what this homecoming, this liberation from feeling stuck or feeling small or feeling scared, what that liberation can feel like, then head to the link and jump in. There are less than 48 hours until we get going, and I would love to see you there. If you have any questions, please reach out. Otherwise, go forth, create a ceremony for your artistry. Remind yourself why it is you wanted to do this in the first place. Mwah.